org organizations, that aspect, he has agreed, will be heard by the Committee on Education.
Mr. President, if I may, I was just talking
Majority Floor Leader.
to some of our senior members here, Mr. President, and it has been a practice, Mr. President, that whoever is leading the committee on the investigation, there can be another secondary committee, and upon the approval also of the primary committee, they can also hear it jointly, Mr. President. But if the pleasure of the distinguished gentleman from Pampanga would be to hear it jointly, the Committee on Basic Education being the primary committee and the secondary committee, ang Committee on Agriculture, pwede rin po yan, Mr. President.
With the understanding, of course, that there will only be one committee report because there is only one Senate bill to be made or prepared by the committee, the primary committee, the Committee on Basic Education. Is that the understanding?
That is
Senator
correct,
Pangilinan?
Mr. President. That is correct.
And so,
With that understanding and given the
Yes.
concurrence of the chairman of the Committee on Basic Education, signaling a thumbs up sign for the record, and with the acquiescence of the majority floor leader, the motion of the Honorable Pangilinan is deemed approved.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay.
Thank you, Majority Leader.
thank you, Mr. President.
Secretary will please continue.
Senate number 220, prohibiting the conversion of irrigated and irrigable agricultural lands for non-agricultural uses, amending for the purpose Section 20 of RA number 7160, Senator Pangilinan.
The Committees on Local Government, Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform.
Senate number 221, an act creating the Department of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, providing for its powers and functions, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes, Senator Pangilinan.
The Committees on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform, Civil Service, Government Organization and Professional Regulation and Finance.
222, an act providing post-harvest facilities to rice farmers, Senator Pangilinan.
The Committees on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform, Public Works and Finance.
223, an act promoting the use of urban agriculture and vertical farming in the country's metropolitan areas to address food security concerns and regenerate ecosystem functions, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes, Senator Pangilinan.
The Committees on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform, Basic Education and Finance.
224, an act providing for the preservation, reforestation, afforestation, and sustainable development of mangrove forests in the Philippines, providing penalties and for other purposes, Senator Pangilinan.
The Committee on Environment, Natural Resources and Climate Change.
225, establishing the National Framework for Water Resource Management and creating the Department of Water Resources and Water Regulatory Commission, defining their mandate, powers, and functions, appropriating funds and for other purposes, Senator Pangilinan.
The Committees on Public Services, Civil Service, Government Organization and Professional Regulation, Ways and Means and Finance.
226, prohibiting the selling and or buying of admission tickets to unauthorized sales channels, providing penalties and for other purposes, Senator Pangilinan.
The Committees on Justice and Human Rights, Trade and Commerce and Entrepreneurship.
227, regulating the allocation and utilization of confidential intelligence funds, imposing penalties for misuse and misappropriation and for other purposes, Senator Pangilinan.
The Committee on Finance.
228, prohibiting any form of interference by national government agencies with the use of the national tax allotment and locally generated revenues of local government units, Senator Escudero.
Committee on Local Government, Ways and Means.
229, an act to further strengthen local autonomy through a more rationalized system of decentralization, amending RA 7160, the Local Government Code of 1991, Senator Escudero.
The Committee on Local Government and Finance.
Senate number 230, an act promoting business competitiveness by providing temporary tax relief to single proprietorships, cooperatives, partnerships, or corporations classified as micro, small, and medium enterprises, Senator Escudero.
The Committee on Trade, Commerce and Entrepreneurship and Ways and Means.
231, promoting business growth and recovery by reducing the cost of business compliance for micro, small, and medium enterprises, amending NIRC Code NIRC of 1997 as amended, Senator Escudero.
The Committees on Ways and Means, Trade and Commerce and Entrepreneurship.
232, an act mandating government officials and employees to execute and submit a written permission to examine, inquire, or look into all their deposits and investments, thereby waiving the bank secrecy laws provided under Republic Act numbers 1405 and 6426, Senator Escudero.
Committee on Banks, Financial Institutions and Currencies.
233, an act providing an increase and an automatic adjustment mechanism in the personal economic relief allowance granted to government employees, Senator Escudero.
To the Committees on Civil Service, Government Organization and Professional Regulation and Finance.
234, an act reinstituting mandatory credit allocation for micro, small, and medium enterprises, imposing fines and penalties for non-compliance or for other purposes, Senator Escudero.
The Committees on Trade, Commerce, Entrepreneurship and Economic Affairs.
2 235, an act providing for the redevelopment of condominiums, amending for the purpose RA 4726, the Condominium Act. Senator Escudero.
The Committees on Urban Planning, Housing and Resettlement, and Ways and Means.
236, establishing a tripartite council to address problems of unemployment, underemployment, job skills mismatch, and technology-induced job displacement, and appropriating funds therefore. Senator Escudero.
The Committees on Higher Technical Vocational Education, Labor Employment, and Human Resources Development and Finance.
237, lowering the compulsory retirement age of teachers and non-teaching school personnel of the Department of Education from 65 to 60 years old. Senator Escudero.
The Committee on Civil Service, Government Organization, and Professional Regulation.
238, an act granting distinctive honors and privileges to national athletes, creating a national endowment fund for sports heroes and appropriating funds therefore. Senator Villanueva.
The Committee on Sports, Ways and Means, and Finance.
239, an act providing for a new visa category for digital nomads and appropriating funds therefore. Senator Villanueva.
The Committees on Justice and Human Rights, Ways and Means, and Finance.
Senate number 240, an act establishing the national framework for water resource management and creating the Department of Water Resources and Water Regulatory Commission, defining their mandate, powers, and functions, appropriating funds, and for other purposes. Senator Villanueva.
The Committees on Public Services, Civil Service, Government Organization, Professional Regulation, Ways and Means, and Finance.
241, an act penalizing the malicious distribution of false news and other related violations. Senator Villanueva.
The Committees on Justice and Human Rights and Public Information and Mass Media.
Senate number 242, an act amending RA 7309, introduced by Senator Villanueva.
To the Committees on Justice and Human Rights, Social Justice, Welfare and Rural Development, and Finance.
243, an act mandating the establishment of rainwater harvesting facility for the management, maintenance, regulation, and utilization of rainwater runoff, improvement of ecological characteristics of catchments, and for other purposes. Senator Villanueva.
The Committees on Public Works, Sustainable Development Goals, Innovation and Futures Thinking, and Ways and Means.
Senate number 244, an act creating an agricultural pension program to provide social security and pension benefits to farmers and fisher folk. Senator Villanueva.
The Committees on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform, Social Justice, Welfare and Rural Development, and Finance.
245, establishing the Pagkain para sa Lahat program and for other purposes. Senator Villanueva.
To the Committees on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform, Social Justice, Welfare and Rural Development, Ways and Means, and Finance.
246, an act providing for the creation of the Philippine Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative and for other purposes. Senator Villanueva.
The Committees on Environment, Natural Resources, and Climate Change, Ways and Means, and Finance.
247, an act revising PD 1445, series of 78, as amended, otherwise known as the Government Auditing Code of the Philippines and for other purposes. Senator Villanueva.
The Committees on Constitutional Amendments and Revision of Code, Civil Service, Government Organization, and Professional Regulation, and Finance.
248, an act institutionalizing the Student Assistance Fund for emergencies and for other purposes. Senator Tulfo E.
The Committee on Basic Education, Higher Technical Vocational Education, and Finance.
249, an act protecting the welfare of workers in the media and news industry. Senator Tulfo E.
The Committees on Labor, Employment and Human Resources Development, and Public Information and Mass Media.
250, an act decriminalizing libel, repealing for this purpose Articles 353, 354, 355, 356, 357, 360, 361, and 362 of Act Number 3815, the Revised Penal Code, and Section 4C, Chapter 2 of RA 10175, the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012, introduced by Senator Tulfo E.
To the Committee on Justice and Human Rights. Majority Floor Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, at this juncture, the distinguished gentleman from the great city of San Juan is seeking the
Before
floor.
we recognize the Honorable Senate President Pro Tem, Chair would like to first greet the distinguished Majority Floor Leader, a belated happy birthday. And will therefore suspend session first before recognizing Senator Estrada so that our colleagues can greet our Majority Floor Leader. Session is suspended.
Just to put on record that this representation complied with our usual tradition here in the Senate, Mr. President. And I will no longer elaborate what we have been doing. Mr. President, I move for the previous question that we give the floor to the distinguished gentleman from San Juan, our Senate President Pro Temp, Senator Jinggoy Estrada, to deliver his privilege speech. So move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none. Motion is approved. Senator Jinggoy Estrada, our Senate President Pro Tem, is recognized to deliver his privilege speech. You may proceed, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Hindi natin papayagan at palalampasin ang mga katiwalian sa pangangasiwa. Ang kapalpakan sa pagdisenyo at sa pagkakagawa, ang mababang kalidad at marupok na materyales, ang pagkaantala ng proyekto, at ang kapabayaan sa tamang pagmentina at pagkumpuni Halimbawa, sa Kabagan, Santa Maria Bridge na sa Isabela, sinimulan noong 2014, ginastusan ng taong bayan ng 1 bilyon. 10 taon tinayo. Nung binuksan, ilang araw pa lang, giba na agad. Napakamahal. Ang tagal ginawa. Ang bilis na sira.
Mr. President, my dear colleagues, good afternoon. I rise today on a matter of personal and collective privilege. 5 months after the reported collapse of the Kabagan Santa Maria Bridge, accountability has finally been demanded by the Department of Public Works and Highways, directed only at the driver of the dump truck operating a vehicle with an approximate gross vehicle weight of 89.63 metric tons. Such a heavy load exceeded the bridge's design load capacity of 33 tons and violated the 45-ton maximum allowable gross vehicle weight, or the MAGVW, under Republic Act number 8794 and its revised IRR. As fate would have it, the bridge, 12 years in the making and opened for just over 20 days, collapsed. Hailed as one of the engineering wonders and the gateway to the Cordilleras, this road network was one that our kababayans had long looked forward to for decades. Para sa mga kababayan natin na buhay na tinatawid ang daan papuntang Isabela, isang malaking kaginhawaan sana ito. Ngunit ang kanilang pagbubunyi ay panandalian lamang. Mr. President, I take this floor to demand answers. Why did a bridge into which we poured over 1.2 billion of taxpayers' money, meant to be a symbol of strength and connection, become instead a symbol of failure for the government? Sino po ang dapat managot? Sino ang may sala? Nakakadismaya na matapos maimbestigan ito ng Senate Blue Ribbon Committee sa pangunguna ng ating kasamahan na si Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, ay ang nakakabahalang kawalan ng malinaw na pananagutan mula sa taong responsable sa pagpapatupad ng proyektong ito. Based on all the documents my office has gathered, no information what was submitted to the DPWH explaining how the designer of the 990-meter bridge, Mr. Alberto Cañete, a supposed bridge expert, or the joint venture of United Technologies Consolidated Partnership, PERT Consult International and Scheme Engineers and Associates, arrived at its design. The special committee report by the DPWH on the collapse of the Kabagan Santa Maria Bridge, submitted to the Blue Ribbon Committee last April 30, noted that based on limited research, there is no known precedent for this exact structural configuration in either local or international bridge projects. Mr. President, it was an iconic bridge of unique form, not typically constructed by DPWH. So, why was such a design approved without the necessary technical documentation? Was due diligence not exercised in reviewing the safety, appropriateness, and long-term durability of the structure? Sa pagsusuri ko ng nasabing special committee report ng DPWH, sa kalagitnaan pa lamang ng pagpapatayo nito noong 2017, ay nakitaan na ito ng mga significant signs of failure. And from the very beginning, the whole bridge structure was bound to fail. This was according to then project engineer Mr. Felipe Lingan. Ngayon pa man, Ginoong Pangulo, itinuloy pa rin ito at ang tanging naging solusyon ay retrofitting at epoxy injection. At ang masaklap pa dito, Mr. President, my dear colleagues, ay inako ng gobyerno ang gastusing ito na nagkakahalaga ng humigit kumulang Now, 400 million pesos. Retrofitting or repair works due to the constructor's mistake should be shouldered by RD Interior Junior Construction. That is very, very basic.